Hello, welcome or welcome back. I'm Stephen, and today I'm going to be talking about the Christopher Eccleston story, Father's Day. Before I get onto that, first, just sorry this video's a bit late. It is always my plan to get my review videos out to you on a Tuesday afternoon, but that plan is, well, it's more of an aspiration than a set in stone fact, because life gets in the way, and in my case, of course, mental health gets in the way too. So if I'm having a few off days, then firstly it might take me a bit longer to get down to watching what I need to watch, and then it might take me a bit longer to getting down to recording it as well. So this is actually Wednesday morning I'm recording this, and hopefully you will see this by this evening. I have got a few days off from work coming up soon. I've got 11 consecutive days off. So I'm hoping I might get maybe one or two videos ahead of myself in that time, and then I'll have a bit of a backlog, you know, to post in future if I have a poor mental health day, which is actually what I've been doing up until now. I was usually a video ahead. But anyway, it's time for you know what. Now this is the first time, of course, that Christopher Eccleston has gone in the hat, so we'll see how he fits. It's quite a lanky action figure, but it's not very heavy, so we'll see. Bit more of him as usual. I always get that wrong. Okay, there he is. Are you all ready to sing along? 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's time to talk about Doctor Who. I've got the Doctor in my hat. I'll have to stay very, very, very still, or he'll fall out and go splat. It's a clinger. It's clinging on there. Okay, now, as this is a new Doctor for my channel, first time I've spoken about the Eccleston era, I just want to say a bit, this is my way, first time a new Doctor comes up, my general feelings about that Doctor. Now, Christopher Eccleston, he's a really interesting one actually, because, of course, he was the first of the 21st century Doctors. Those of you who've been watching me will know I'm a long-term Doctor Who fan. I started watching in the 80s, and so I watched sort of religiously from season 22 onwards. So I only actually had 5 seasons, 5 and a bit, because I watched some of season 21 too, but basically 5 seasons as a Doctor Who fan before the show got cancelled. Then there was nothing but the McGann TV movie until Eccleston came along. And it was announced in 2003 that this new series was going to be made. So of course there was over the year of excitement and anticipation for this. You know, it was, fans were excited but also worried, because it could be, the show had been off the air for forever, but it coming back, all our hopes were being carried, and it had to be absolutely perfect, because we knew this would be the last chance for the show if it didn't work out. So forward to, I think it was Easter, yeah, it would have been Easter of 2005. I was 30 by this time, clinging on to 30, about to turn 31 in May, the coming May. So effectively I was just a little bit more than twice the age I had been when Doctor Who came off the air in 1989 when I was 15. So that is how long I'd had to wait. And okay, so the first episode aired, and first episode, those of you who watched as it went out will remember, you know, the technical problems that went with the first episode. Graham Norton, yes. Anyway, the first episode was good. I liked it. The second episode was also pretty good. I liked it. Still not blown away. Then the third episode, Unquite Dead, came along, and yeah, that's the one where I knew, yeah, the show is back. This is Doctor Who, and I don't say that because it was like some identikit version of 1980s Doctor Who. Far from it, but that was when I could just feel the core hearts of Doctor Who, hearts got to, so the core hearts of the show beating again. Now Father's Day, which we're talking about today, falls just over halfway into Eccleston's run, Eccleston's season, and it is, well, I think it's fair to say it's a roller coaster of emotions watching this one. It tugs at the heartstrings every chance it gets. I mean, it is impossible not to feel for the characters. Well, at least for me, it's impossible not to feel for the characters. Now, Rose makes the huge mistake of going back in time and saving her father's life. Now, I don't think it was what she intended at all. I don't think it was some big master plan. I mean, she says herself, it wasn't. She didn't plan it. It just happened, and naturally, I believe her. But my favourite scene in this story is the one in Pete's flat, where Pete's gone off to get changed into his whatever he's going to be wearing for the wedding, and Rose is just wandering around the flat, pointing out all things to the Doctor, all the things she's proud of her father for achieving, all the things that she's heard about him, and that the Doctor's just stood in the doorway with that sort of cold, brooding look on his face, and he says nothing for a long time, and then finally he just speaks up and calls her out on whether she planned this. You know, the whole, I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact dialogue, but it's something like, I said travel with me, you said no, then I said time machine. And it's just a wonderful moment, because not least because it follows on from the previous story with all that stuff the Doctor had to deal with Adam, who had abused the privilege of time travel to try and make a lot of money for himself. And now the Doctor's wondering, has he made the same mistake with Rose? Not that Rose is in it for the money, she's in it for more personal reasons, and what she did was a spur of the moment thing, but even so, it's causing absolute chaos to time, and with the Time Lords gone, there's nobody to fix it. So then these Reaper creatures come in and just start devouring everybody to heal the wound in time, which seems a bit extreme, because the Reapers are taking out more people than Pete. In fact, they don't take out Pete. Pete has to take himself out in the end. But the Reapers are taking all these people out, which is surely doing more and more damage to time. So they're not really a healing, sterilising force that the Doctor says they are. Not really. I mean, they're doing untold damage, I would have thought. More damage than those ever did. Anyway, this episode, it looks good. I mean, can we call this a pseudo-historical? Makes me feel old if we do, because this is set in 1987. And 1987, that's part of my teenage years. I was 13 in 1987, and when your teenage years start being spoken of as in a historic sense, then yeah, you do feel a bit old. But anyway, it evokes 1987 pretty well. The way people are dressed, the way they look, the way they speak. I think they do a good job in League Theatre 1987, which in fairness was only, 18 years well, 17, 18, 17 as it was filmed, 17 years in the past as this was filmed. But now, of course, 1987 is, what, 34 years in the past. So yeah, I think it probably is historic times now. Now, I just want to say a bit about those and Billy Piper. I mean, when I'll say it now, because obviously I will be reviewing the Those episode at some point in the future, and I'll probably repeat myself, but I don't know when that will be. There aren't that many Eccleston episodes out there, so it might be a long while before one comes up again. So I'll just say that Billy Piper as Those was an absolute revelation. I mean, when she was cast, I was very sceptical. All I knew her as was this pop singer, teenage pop star, who'd had a sort of was it a minor hit or quite a big hit? I can't remember, because I mean I didn't buy it anyway. But anyway, I was a bit too old for buying Billy Piper's music when she was a pop star. But anyway, she came onto the show and she absolutely excelled as Those. Now, I know the character has faced a lot of backlash in recent years, but I still like Those. I think Those is just a wonderful character. Now, Eccleston himself, oh dear, it is so sad what went on behind the scenes, and that working on the show didn't work out for Christopher Eccleston. And worse still, that he wasn't treated particularly well by the BBC when he left the show. To say the least, he wasn't treated well. And the BBC let us all have the impression that it was Christopher Eccleston who was at fault. We now know it's a more complicated situation than that, but really, Christopher Eccleston was having a very hard time during the making of this series. But if things had been better, and it would have been wonderful if he could have done a couple more years, and after that we could still have had Tennant, still have had Smith, still have had Capaldi, still have Whittaker. I wouldn't change any of that, but it would have just been nice to have a bit more Eccleston before getting to Tennant. Because I mean, I remember when it was announced that it was leaving the show, it was sometime in the week between the broadcast of Those and The Unquiet Dead, so we just had this one episode of Eccleston, and then he was leaving. And at the time that cast a shadow over the rest of the season, because uniquely he was the only Doctor that we knew pretty much throughout his entire run that he was going. Now that shadow has lifted, and when I watch these episodes now, looking now, present day, that's not a factor in my thinking about them. I'm not thinking of them in relation to, oh, Eccleston will be going soon. I'm just viewing them as what they are, the excellent episodes they are. And Father's Day, okay, it's not my favourite of the season, but it is up there somewhere in the top half of this season. And it's clearly a masterpiece by the writer Paul Cornell, although he would later go on to do something even better for the show, which we'll talk about when we get to it. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But that's all I've got to say about this one. So I shall take Mr. Eccleston out of my hat and return him to stand proudly amongst the pantheon of Doctors on my bookshelf. And it's time to choose what we're going to talk about next. Okay, here we are. I've got the wheel ready. There are currently 282 options on it to choose from. Reminder, we're still awaiting anything from the Troughton era, the Tennant era, and we haven't had Paul McGann either. Otherwise, all the other Doctors have been represented so far. A couple of them heavily over-represented. I mean, we've had 3 Colin Bakers already, and 3 from Matt Smith, a couple of Pertwees. Everybody else is just on 1, apart from the doctors I've already mentioned, I think. So let's see what we get. Will we get another new doctor, or will we go back to one we've already had? Either way, it's always exciting to find out. So I just make sure I've got the volume turned up before I spin, because this is rubbish without the sound effects. Okay. And it clicks and it clicks, and I like that sound. Anticipation builds. Up, up, up. That is, I don't know if you can, that's how to get that angle 60. That's 215. So we are definitely staying with 21st century Doctor Who. But what part of 21st century Doctor Who? Let's see. 215 is... Okay, the random number generators, Matt Smith obsession continues. This time it's the Wedding of River Song. So please join me for my Sunday chat first, and then next week, hopefully Tuesday, but who knows, where we will talk about the Wedding of River Song. Until then, please like, please comment, please subscribe, please tell your friends, and please tell my friends too. Bye for now.